Welcome to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten. Hi, I'm Wendy. After I graduated with my master's in wellness management, I started my own company, T2 Coaching, Health, Fitness, and Sport. And I'm Kirsten, an athlete, vegan, life coach, and girl mom, running a business focused on helping others create a life they love.
We are here to explore all things wellness to help you become the person you've always wanted to be.
So if that's why you're here, open your ears and your mind as we tackle the world of wellness together.
Hi, friends. Wendy.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's really cold.
It's freezing here too in Colorado.
What's the temperature?
I don't know. It's like the windiest day ever. And so I think with the wind chill, it's maybe around 20.
Our low this morning was 19.
Oh.
Our high is going to be 28 with a chance of snow tomorrow.
Ooh, that's exciting for Georgia.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Everything's already closing. It's beautiful, sunny, blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. It's not even windy, but we're going to get snow tomorrow. There's a snow winter storm watch. So I'm excited. I hope it snows. I hope it's real.
Yeah. Hold on. I just tried something.
What? Oh my God, it's really loud.
Yeah, it's like the right amount. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what this is? Can you hear me?
I can. For those who can't see us right now, we always have issues with our mics every time before we press record where we can't hear each other.
We're like it's a hot mess as far as technology for our podcast, but we're just rolling with it. So I think I am going to try a different microphone next week.
Okay.
Because it sounds good when I listen to it. Hold on, I'm going to put this on. When I listen to it, but I can barely hear you. And I have a Roomba and it's in the room right now. And it's like louder than you. I might try.
What's a Roomba? What's a Roomba?
It's like an automatic vacuum cleaner.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, it was my gift to myself after the swim season last year. The parents got together and got me a little gift, which was like a bunch of cash.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I did with my cash as I bought a Roomba because when I moved into this apartment, we had hardwood floors and I have 2 dogs and they're super hairy. And when I would sweep, it would just like move the hair around. I could never get it into the dustpan. I was getting frustrated. And my friend was talking about her Roomba and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
All right. We should get him to sponsor us.
Right? Roomba, if you're out there, we're looking for a house cleaning sponsor. House cleaning made easy.
Yeah, I love it.
So what was your wellness win for the week?
Well, it kind of carried over to what I was doing last wellness win when I was kind of organizing my business, my Google Drive, deleting documents from my phone and my email and my Google Drive. And it just had to do with organizing, tidying the home space. And so, getting rid of some stuff, clothing. We did a complete renovation to this place. We started it in 2020. I mean, completely gutted. There was a period of time where we didn't have walls in our house. And so, we're slowly making progress. And amongst the progress of renovation is just going through boxes of stuff that we moved here with that we haven't gone through. A lot of that memorabilia stuff you're not quite ready to get rid of. And then there's a point where you're like, okay, I'm ready to go through this box. And so just doing stuff like that. I think decluttering is always a wellness win because it lessens anxiety, lessens stress level when you know where everything is and you find a spot for stuff. And when you're looking for it, you know exactly where it is instead of like having 2 seconds to try to find it. And you're just like, I don't know where anything is. And then you make more clutter because you're trying to find that one thing that you thought was there, but it's not. And that adds stress and anxiety. So definitely a big wellness win.
I am that way with laundry. I'm like, my laundry piles up between like working out all the time and having different like shirts for different gyms I work at. And my daughter, who's she's a fashionista. I'm always doing laundry. And it doesn't bother me to have like piles of clean laundry. But my rule is if it takes me more than a few minutes to find something like a matching pair of socks in the mornings, then I'm like, okay, you have to put this laundry away because now it's wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
So my wellness win, I was in the shower earlier and I was trying to think of it. And I have a lot because like beginning of the year, I'm doing a lot of things, but I was trying to narrow it down. And I think if I'm being honest and transparent, the thing that's made me most excited about the week is I've been eating the right amount of food. And what that means for me is like when I wake up hungry, I know I didn't overeat the night before. And so my love waking up hungry because I always eat breakfast. Breakfast is just a non-negotiable for me. And when I wake up and I'm full and then I eat breakfast, I feel kind of like gross, you know, like too full. So I've really been paying attention to not eating a lot before I go to bed. And typically on a Wednesday night, today we're recording this on a Thursday, Wednesday night, I work late. I don't get home until 9:00 p.m. And then I'm anxious, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed. I usually eat a lot of food. But last night I just ate a little. I actually was like sitting there thinking, what do I want to eat out of anything in my kitchen? What do I want to eat? And I was going to make a shake, but then I'm like, kind of chilly. I just want to be cozy. I made some popcorn and I ate some popcorn and then went to bed and I woke up and I was kind of hungry and I was like, it feels so much better when I don't feel like bogged down with food. I know my digestive system works better when I'm not overly full. So although I've had a really amazing week and lots of wellness wins in finances, decluttering, health, all that stuff, fitness, my bike streak, that waking up hungry this morning was actually the one that feels like most of a win for me personally.
And that's great because before we even knew your wellness win, we were going to talk about nutrition today. You just got really quiet.
Oh, sorry. Is this better?
Yeah.
I'm figuring this out. So that's a great segue into our topic of the week, which is nutrition. And Wendy and I, and anyone that is into the nutrition field could probably talk about nutrition for like 8 hours. But this is Wellness Made Easy. So we want to break it down and just talk about some simple things that everyone can do to start working toward better nutrition. So before we go into that, Wendy, do you want to talk a little bit about maybe why it's so confusing? There's so many different diets, there's so many different ways to eating, and there's a lot of conflicting stuff out there. So this is a super complicated subject. So we want to try to simplify it for everybody. So why don't you start there?
Well, I think it's also a great topic because we're in the new year. So a lot of people have the New Year's resolutions to better their nutrition, whether that means weight loss, weight gain, build muscle mass, which has to do with nutrition, fuel for performance, recovery. So just naming all those reasons that people are focused on nutrition in the new year, it's confusing to me, So from an athletic standpoint, I just also wanted to point out there's a difference between nutrition and fueling. Fueling your workouts is completely different than your everyday, day-to-day nutrition. We need to eat. We need to fuel our bodies with micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals that come from food. And that's just for our health. And then when you're healthy, you can build fitness and that builds performance. That's kind of the topic or the subject of why I started coaching for health, fitness, and sport. And the confusion, it goes back for me back when I was in my I was still in my undergraduate at Eastern Michigan University. I had moved to Colorado in 95, started student teaching, and I quit because I was going to be a math teacher. And then I had to go back to Michigan to finish my math degree. And then I ended up going into exercise and sports science. But it started back then for me when I read the 80-20 diet, 40-60 diet, or some sort of diet that had to do with eating 40% protein and 60% carbohydrate, 40-30-30. It was a 40-30-30 diet. That's how long ago that was. And that got me into actually thinking about nutrition and thinking about my protein intake. And then you had, that similar time frame, the Atkins diet, and all these diet books were coming out primarily to target people for optimal weight loss. And just, fast forward 25 years later, that 40-30-30 doesn't really exist anymore. People don't talk about it, but people probably still talk about Atkins if they're trying to lose weight. There's a big thing about counting your macronutrients, what percentage of carbohydrate, what percentage of fat, what percentage of protein do you need And really that just depends on how active you are. And, the confusion becomes in what's the ultimate goal. If your ultimate goal is weight loss, well, then you're going to suffer in performance. If your ultimate goal is performance, then you might suffer when it comes to weight loss. So it's really important to dial in the actual goal, the outcome that you're going for, and then it can probably help clarify nutrition for you.
Like you, I've been around the block in the nutrition circles. I actually got my degree 1994 and my minor was in nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
So even what we learned as, that long ago is a lot different than today. So one of the things that is really interesting, because Wendy and I are both plant-based, is when I was going to school, you had to combine foods to make a complete protein for if you didn't eat meat.
Yeah.
So you had to eat like beans and rice at the same time, or else it didn't count as a complete protein.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So now, in case anyone still believes that, if you're our age and that's what you learned back in the day, you want to combine all these proteins to get complete amino acids into your meals. You want to combine all these foods, but you don't have to do them together. It's just throughout the day.
Right.
So
you can eat rice in the morning and beans in the evening, and you're going to have your complete
meal in
protein.
the morning and chili at night or whatever, and it still creates a complete protein.
And I think that the topic of just protein alone, one of the 3 macronutrients alone, is a big, not issue, but it's very much, is what? It's a big hot topic. How much protein do you need? I need more protein. People, based on what they read and hear about, just assume I need more protein without knowing how much they're currently getting. So again, back in my day when I read that 30-30-30 book, I did probably in some sort of calculator, I wanted to calculate how much I was getting, and I wasn't getting a lot, but I didn't know how much I needed either.
Right.
My goal was just I opened my eyes up to macronutrients and percentages, and my goal was just to eat, some carbohydrates, some fat, and some protein every time I ate.
Right. So
I didn't overload carbohydrate in one meal or snack and overload protein in one meal and snack. It got me to be like a little bit more balanced.
Right.
And a little bit more mindful in what I was consuming, because I had my highest interest back then, and it still is, was my performance and how to maximize my nutrition for performance. And I didn't even fuel back then. I didn't know what fueling was, but it was just like, how can I maximize what I eat, which we have to eat to maximize my performance? And then I started reading other books, back in our day, the, low fat cookies, high sugar cookies, all those low fat products.
Stories.
All those low fat products, we focused on the macronutrients of trying to not consume so much fat, not realizing all those low fat products were high in sugar, because the marketing was low fat for a healthy diet, and had nothing to do with the other ingredients in those low fat products.
Right. Yeah. I remember in college being like, I can't eat an avocado, but I could eat an entire box of Snackwell's Devil's Food cookies because they were non-fat.
The Snackwells were huge non-fat.
Yeah. So I would eat, like, for a meal, I would eat the whole container of Snackwells because it was 0 fat, but I refused to eat an avocado or olives because they were fat.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go into the topic of fat, there's saturated fat, monosaturated fat, and trans fats. And if you're not in, a lot of athletes are into understanding what those 3 types of fats are. But if you're not, you don't know the difference between what a trans fat, monosaturated, polysaturated fat is. And, it's important. There's a big difference. There's a big difference between the fat in an avocado and olive oil as compared to a trans fat that's in usually like a processed food product. Yeah. Trans fat is usually processed, and that's bad for heart. I mean, that's just bad for heart health overall. Not even thinking performance, you always want to think about your heart health as well.
Right. So we are going to talk about protein as far as like our needs a little bit later, because my listener question today is all about protein. But what I wanted to go over, just because, again, like, it's so confusing for people. So just some simple nutrition guidelines that are not controversial, that are agreed upon by all, which all meaning like most. Obviously, there's nothing in the world that everybody agrees on. So I actually thought of a few that I help my athletes and my just non-athlete clients with when they're working on just overall health and longevity. Because I feel like longevity is a topic that is like, it's a hot topic right now. It's a good,
Right.
people are talking more about longevity. And longevity to me, when I say longevity, I don't mean living to be 110 and just laying around in bed. I mean living to be being as active and healthy and having your wits about you and be able to do all the things you want to do for as long as possible.
Right.
So like quality of life for longevity. And Wendy, you can tell me if you want to add to this list or if you have anything, but here's the 5 things I came up with. Number 1, eat the rainbow. Eat the rainbow.
Right.
So fruits and vegetables come in all different colors for a reason. They're not artificially colored to look pretty. They have all different nutrients. So the nutrients are what makes them the color they are. So when people say eat the rainbow, it means eat a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. And I know fruit has a little bit of controversy, but not in the health field. In the health field, fruits and vegetables are healthy, and you should be eating a wide variety of them every single day, every single meal.
Agree. Those fruits and vegetables have the vitamins and minerals that other carbohydrates, proteins, and fats do not. So
Right.
again, the fruits and vegetables are a healthy carbohydrate. They're low in calorie and they have all the vitamins and minerals that you need if you eat the variety.
Yes. My number 2 on my list is focus on eating whole foods closest to their original state. So that's the opposite of a processed food. So a whole food is a fruit or vegetable, a potato, whole grains, things that are the less processed food, the less processing of the food, the more nutrients are still intact.
Right. And just a little thing about the whole grain. The whole grain is a non-white product. White rice, white flour, white pasta doesn't, not that it's horrible for you, not that you shouldn't eat it, but it just does not have the nutrients like whole wheat pasta or whole wheat rice or those whole grain products.
Right. So this is another thing that is agreed upon. I mean, like Wendy said, there's so many different diets, there's so many different ways of eating, but what we're sharing today is things that are agreed upon by everybody.
Right.
Everyone says the more whole foods you eat, there's a whole diet called Whole30 where you're eating whole foods.
Right.
So whole foods are healthier than processed foods. Yes.
Yep.
The third one is staying hydrated. And this is actually one of my New Year's resolutions is to drink more water. And I've been doing amazingly at it. And I drink a lot of fluids throughout the day. And so I always think I'm drinking enough water. But when I track my water, I'm really not. So fluids, I mean, when I add like my powder to water, that's still good water. That's still water. But fluids like coffee, caffeinated tea, pre-workout, energy drinks, juices, those I do not count as water. And you want to be drinking half your body weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you want to be drinking about 75 ounces of water a day.
For health and just hydration, health hydration.
Yeah. And hydration, the majority of our body is made up of water. So just to keep all of our systems running well, we have to stay hydrated.
Right. Take training out of the equation and just do that on every day, non-training days, but that you need more hydration on training days, but right now just health and living.
Yes. And if you do drink caffeine, which I think a lot of people do these days, you have to add extra water for the caffeine because caffeine is a diuretic. It does dehydrate you. So if you're drinking 2 or 3 caffeinated drinks a day, then every caffeinated drink the same amount in water is a good rule of thumb.
Yep.
The fourth one is limit processed foods and sugars. So again, all these different diets out there, keto and blah, all the different
High fat,
diets,
low fat,
high fat, low fat, whatever.
raw food diet.
Raw food, vegan, like all these plant-based. So this is a tiny bit off topic, but somebody asked me what the difference is between being plant-based and being vegan. And so, in case you're curious about that, plant-based is more of a diet. So plant-based is I eat foods that are plant-based instead of animal-based or more plant-based. It doesn't have to be fully plant-based. To me, the word vegan is more of a lifestyle. So if you're vegan, you don't eat meat because they're animals or it's bad for the environment or whatever, but it's more of a lifestyle. Like if you're vegan, you probably don't wear leather shoes or you probably don't choose car seats or a sofa made of leather. But if you're plant-based, then it's a way of eating, not necessarily a lifestyle. So that if you're curious about those, a lot of people use those words interchangeably. But when we're talking about a diet, I usually use the words plant-based. So limit sugars. There's nobody that will tell you for overall health and longevity, you should eat more sugar or eat more processed foods. Now, when we talk about performance, your brain and your muscles do need glucose and glycogen to perform at a high level. But in everyday diet and what you consume, limit sugar and limit processed food. And then finally, which Wendy already touched on earlier today, is include some healthy fats, because healthy fats are what fuels our brain and it helps us focus and helps our brain health. And healthy fats are like flax and walnuts and
Avocado,
olives, chia, algae, things that have those
omega-3s, and that also those certain fats help absorb some of those vitamins and minerals. And if you don't have them, then you could be in a vitamin or mineral deficiency. I don't know off the top of my head. That's not the topic of today, but that's just something to be aware of.
Right. And again, all 5 of these things, we can go into depth and it can get complicated, but just simple 5 things that will help you live longer, of more energy, and probably if you follow these things, you will lose weight. If you have weight to lose and you get a healthier, cleaner diet, most likely you're going to lose weight. I think that's why some of the diets that aren't as healthy, people still lose weight. Because, for example, like a diet where you're eating a lot of meat, but you're not eating any carbs. Like, in my opinion, that's not a healthy diet, but you might still lose weight because you took out processed foods, because you're not eating carbs. You took out sugar. A lot of those diets, they take out dairy. They take out all these highly inflammatory foods. So of course you're going to lose weight.
For most people, it's not sustainable.
Correct. So Wendy, would you add anything to this list as far as just simple ways to start getting healthier on the nutrition?
No, I think those, keep it simple. Those five key areas are important. And again, no one, to my knowledge, has had a heart attack because all they ate was vegetables.
Right.
Even those higher protein, higher meat-based type of nutrition plans exist, but most of them will allow a certain amount of vegetable-based carbohydrate.
Right. Yeah, it's funny when people come to me and they're like, I'm confused about this, I'm confused about this, I'm confused about this. I'm like, less sugar, more veggies. Like, if you just want to start with 2 simple rules or guidelines that nobody will disagree with, eat more vegetables, eat less sugar.
Yes. And I just thought of something else that has to do with eat less sugar is food labeling. If you read two things, food labeling, if you read a food label and you don't know what something is, it's processed.
Right.
You don't have to get it.
It's not a whole food.
It's not a whole food. When you go shopping, shop around the perimeter, because those are where the Whole Foods are, is around the perimeter of the grocery store. They're not in the aisles. The aisles contain the processed foods. Not that you just want to limit how much aisle food you eat and
Right.
stick around the perimeter.
That should be our diet that we promote, Wendy, the perimeter diet. 80% perimeter, 20% aisle.
I love it. That's a
I
great,
know.
that's awesome.
We'll trademark that.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Trademark.
Trademark it. So anything else about the just general health food guidelines?
No, keep it simple. We kept it simple.
That's what we're here for. Help you simplify things. Because I do want to go into our listener questions, because I know mine is a little more in depth, and I know we'll probably want to spend a few minutes on it.
Yeah, let's go with yours.
So let's do that. Mine is from a woman. She attends I teach a functional strength training class at the gym. I had mentioned that we're doing a podcast on nutrition. And I said, if anybody has any questions, come up. And actually I got 4 or 5 questions from people, but this woman was really passionate about her question. So and it's something that we mentioned it on the podcast last week, that we're getting a lot of menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause questions from women. So we want to help out with that. So she asked, how much protein do I need to get in perimenopause? So for those out there, maybe you're younger, you're like, I don't even know what perimenopause is. It's a pre-menopause. So you actually haven't gone through menopause. You're not post-menopausal, but your hormones are starting to shift, and they call it pre-menopause. And it happens at all different times for women. Typically, I would say in your 40s is when most women start to see some symptoms of perimenopause. So I want to hear what you want to say too, Wendy. But what I did was I actually did a little bit of math to help you guys understand protein. And as we said before, protein, it could be like 8 podcasts in a row just on protein. And there is a lot of controversy surrounding protein. So the numbers I'm using are what is the recommended daily allowance for protein. And when you are in perimenopause or menopause, you do need a little bit higher protein intake than when you're not. Also, if you're an athlete, you need a little bit. If you're super active or especially competitive athlete, you need a little bit more. And as you get older, because the protein is supporting things like bone density loss. We don't want to lose. It's trying to maintain the bone density, muscle building, keeping the muscle, supporting brain functions, and just overall general health. So if you're in a special needs category, which is menopause, athletes, and as you get older, your body demands a little bit more. So the RDA, the recommended daily allowance for protein on average is between 1 and 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. I live in the US, we don't do kilograms, but a kilogram is about a half a pound. It's like 2.2. 2.2 kilograms is a pound. Wait, 2.2 pounds is a kilogram.
Yes.
But I just like to estimate and make it simple. So I always say half. So if you're 75 kilograms, you're about 150 pounds. So just to keep things simple, 0.0 to 1.2 grams of kilogram body weight would mean if you weighed 150 pounds, you need between 75 and 85 grams of protein a day. All right. So if just the average person, if you're 150 pounds, about 70 to 75 kilograms, you're going to need between 75 to 85 grams of protein. If you break that down to 3 meals, it's 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal. If you have some snacks in there, maybe 5 meals, it's 15 to 20 grams of protein per meal. So just let that sink in, because exactly what Wendy said is the question I get all the time. I'm plant-based, I'm vegan, and I coach athletes. And they say, hey, Kirsten, I'm training for an Ironman. Where am I going to get all this protein that I need for my training? And I do the same as Wendy. I say, how much protein are you currently getting? And they say, I don't know. And then I say, how much protein do you think you need? I don't know. So most of us out there don't know how much we're getting and how much we need. So we don't know if we're going to be deficient. We're freaking out like, how much do I need? How much do I need? With that being said, perimenopause, which is our listener question, as an athlete and as you get older, you do need a little bit more. But that little bit more is like 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. So if we took that same 150-pound human, that's going to be between like 80 and 120 grams of protein. So if you're 150 pounds, you're an athlete, you're getting a little bit older, maybe you're going through some hormonal changes and you need the high end of that, that's 120 grams of protein a day. You can get that very easily here in America.
Definitely. And you can get protein in plant-based products. It doesn't just have to be animal protein. And most supplements, like a protein supplement, whether it's whey or vegan protein or some sort of other protein powder, usually has 25 to 30 grams per scoop. And so if you do your calculations and you do a dietary analysis and you're falling short, just adding a scoop of protein powder could probably get you to where you want to be. Yeah.
I know, like I said, there's a lot we could say about protein.
Yeah, I could talk more about that, but yeah, I just want to keep it simple.
Yeah. So one thing this I think is really interesting and it's worth noting along the lines of plant-based protein is I had posted, this was years ago, on social media, my stir fry. So it had rice, probably 10 different vegetables, and I don't even think it had tofu in it. It was just vegetables and rice. And I was like, I posted my meal because I want to show people how easy it is to make plant-based meals. And somebody commented, "Where's the protein?" And I was like, let me add this up to see how much protein this meal had, because I didn't know, because I don't keep track of my protein because I know I get enough protein. So I can't remember servings, but I added up the vegetables, the rice, the sauce, like everything I made in this stir fry, and it was 25 grams of protein. So that's like, our bodies can't absorb unless you're like really heavy. Like the average body can't absorb more than about 30 grams of protein all at once anyway. So it's wasting all that protein. So I was actually a little surprised with my stir fry as well, but I'm glad it was a higher number so I could be like, I got protein. It was just vegetables have protein. Rice has protein. And this whole stir fry meal with vegetables and rice and sauce had 25 grams of protein.
Yeah, that's great.
So, all right, Wendy, what's your listener question?
So my listener question is a little bit simpler. It's an athlete or coach, and part of the diet craze is fasting. And people, is there a term than fasting? But people go on these where they only eat between noon and 7 p.m.
Like the intermittent fasting.
Intermittent, yes. Gosh, it's been a while.
I know.
Since I've talked about it, but she had experimented with intermittent fasting. It wasn't working for her. I experimented with intermittent fasting about 2 years ago, just because I will try anything if an athlete questions it. I want the experience to understand what they're going through. And it all boils down to, her simple question was, well, you hear breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So what is the most important meal of the day? And again, it's a very subjective answer. As a coach and performance-based athlete who coaches performance-based other athletes, to me, the most important meal of the day is what you eat after training, because that only provides recovery from the session that you just did. It also helps fuel your next workout. And so I think athletes tend to be, busy lifestyles. They're not prepared with eating after a workout session, especially if it's long or intense, and that will limit their recovery, and that's going to impact how they feel for the next training session. So I'm always trying to install in athletes that it's really important to fuel after your training session. But as far as like breakfast, lunch, or dinner, what's the most important meal of the day? I think it's breakfast, in the sense that it doesn't have to be a 6 a.m. thing, a 9 a.m., noon. The timing of it is whatever meal is your first meal that you're going to eat that day. So breakfast, break the fast. If you are doing intermittent fasting and you are following a guideline, like your first meal is at noon, to me, that's breakfast. You are breaking your fast at noon, even though noon is your traditional lunchtime meal. So again, whatever meal that you're going to eat to start your day, done that. I don't care about time. That is the most important meal.
Yeah. I've actually experimented with intermittent fasting as well for the same reason. I want to see what other people are doing. I want to see if it works for me. Like Wendy mentioned at the beginning, like everyone has a specific way of eating that works best for their body. And what works best for me might not work best for you. So try things out. I can't do it for a couple reasons. One is I work out a lot throughout the day and I just get super hungry when I work out, and I don't want to just mentally like deprive myself of food. But also for the reason Wendy said is recovery is really, really important. As you get older, especially, you recover more slowly. It's harder for your body to recover quickly. So a super simple thing that kind of combines our two listener questions, bring a protein shake with you. Like if you're going to the gym, bring a protein shake, drink it right after your workout. Most protein shakes have, like I guess most protein shakes, some are just straight protein. Mine is a more of a balanced shake.
It's more of a meal
Yeah,
replacement.
it's Shakeology. It's a meal replacement shake. And so it's a combination of protein, carbs, and fat with tons of superfoods, vitamins, and minerals. So when I go to the gym, I bring a shake for after. If I go do a race, I bring a shake. I bring it in my car for after. And as soon as I'm done with my race, I slam my shake. So whatever else happens in the next couple hours, I know that I did a great job on my fueling for recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny that I mentioned this morning. I didn't know what, Wendy, I didn't know what your listener question would be, but I'd mentioned breakfast this morning. Breakfast is non-negotiable for me from a mental standpoint. In the past, I've had issues with skipping breakfast to try to refrain from eating as long as I could in order to lose weight or to starve myself. And it never, ever ended well for me, ever. It always ended in a binge later on in the day, or just feeling horrible, like stomach cramps because I got too hungry and then I ate something really fast. So no matter what, no matter how I'm feeling, it's been a non-negotiable for me for years is that I eat breakfast.
And since you brought up Shakeology, a non-negotiable for me, usually it's post-training, but even on the days I don't train or don't feel the need to have a post-training shake, I will have one. Because again, all those superfoods that are included in Shakeology, I mean, I think that's why I just don't get sick.
Yeah.
I'm someone that, I always tell people, I think the last time I got sick was when I had appendicitis in 2003.
Right.
And was that even sickness? That was appendicitis. But before I had appendicitis, I had a lot of, for 3 months, I had like bronchitis and sinus infections, which I usually don't have either. I think I started drinking Shakeology in 2008 or 2009.
Yeah.
There was a period of time during my recovery from patella surgery that I wasn't drinking Shakeology, and I just didn't like that, because I was at my mom's house for an extended stay and I just didn't have it with me. But that's kind of a non-negotiable for me too. So generally that's usually my breakfast is my Shakeology, as well as like I'll split it up. I'll make like a double batch and I'll have some in the morning
That's exactly what I do.
because I know I'm going to have it. I know I'm going to include it. So I have it in the mornings, and then I usually have the other half after my training session, which is usually in the morning as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. I just make 2 shakes every day. Well, I make them at night for the next day because if I don't, like in the morning, I'm worthless. I'll forget everything. So I do everything the night before. I make 2 shakes, put them in the fridge, grab them, put them on my bag, get on with my day. And one for breakfast. I drink a whole shake for breakfast and a whole shake as soon as I'm done with whatever my workout is for the day.
Yeah.
So Wendy, what are you most excited about in this upcoming week?
Well, I'm doing a race. It's a one that I've always wanted to do. And there was a swim meet that I had, but it was canceled. So my issue, I was excited for swim meets, but when they're canceled, they're like, okay, I'm excited to do a race. I get to go do a race. It's a 18K. So it's 11 close to 12 miles. And it's got 2,500 feet of elevation gain. It's on the road. It's not on a trail. It's on the road. I'm all about elevation. That's all I do. I do hill repeats, hill repeats, hill repeats. Why? I think initially I said, people hate hills. I'm going to become the expert of hills. And I just love the challenge. And during my recovery, running up the hill was the only time I couldn't feel my pain in my leg. Is weird because running uphill is more hamstring based.
Right.
And so as I didn't have quad stability or strength yet, I could run uphill and feel really good. And so I just even became more an expert and person who loves hills.
Right. Do you have a goal for your race? You're just going to go do it for fun?
Fun is always winning.
Yeah.
Winning is fun. I don't know really anything about it though. Like, I don't know. It's a road race, whoever shows up. So it's more or less my goal is never to win. Winning's fun though, but it's usually, I don't go into races saying I want to win.
Right.
I go into races saying how well did I prepare and how well am I going to execute? So the success of me in a race environment is the preparation and the execution. Because I don't really like, as weird as this sounds, since I've been an age group swimmer, I've hated competition. I prefer the training and I prefer the process over the outcome goal. But the outcome goal of winning is fun. But more importantly, the outcome goal of race execution is even better.
Yeah. Well, and it just, when you prepare well, so I've done races where I've prepared amazingly, I perform well, and I feel great after. I've done races where I didn't prepare well at all and I raced just fine, but then I feel horrible for like a week because my body's like, you weren't prepared for this. So the difference between my race performance in a race I've prepared really well for and a race I haven't isn't very big.
Yeah.
But how I feel after is humongous. So yeah, to feel good after, I think is a good sign of how well you've prepared.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's funny you said that because what I'm looking forward to is also a race. I've run 3 times in the last 3 months. Yeah, I've run 3 times in the last 3 months because December I swim the whole month. January I've been biking the whole month. And I just don't love running unless I'm in really good shape for running because it's hard. So like when I'm out of running shape, running is hard. If I'm in running shape, running is fun. So I am doing a 5K on Saturday and I'm excited about it because I haven't been running and I know it's going to kind of kick my butt, but that's what gets me motivated to work on something. And I'm just starting my training for my triathlon season this year and I haven't been running. So I like to kind of throw out and do something that I know is going to be a little painful and make me realize that I need to get my butt in gear.
Yeah, that's normal. I think that's just a normal thing we can all relate to.
So if any of you guys are looking, so the race I'm doing, it's called the Park Run and it's a free 5K and they have them all over the world. And they're every Saturday, wherever you find them, every Saturday they have one and it's free. And all they ask is that like every 5 or 6 times you run, you volunteer so that there's always like course marshals and safety and timers and stuff. But it's a timed race. If you go to parkrun.com, we're not sponsored by Parkrun, but I think it's cool because a lot of people don't have money to race all the time. And this is a free race. And since it's all over the world, when people go on vacation, they find park runs. Yeah. So the one I'm doing is in Boulder. And with like at the pre-race meeting, like 10 minutes, just so you know, you guys, they're super low key. Like there's walkers, there's a handful of people that are super fast. And then there's a handful of people that are just walking, hanging out, and then everything in between. But every single time they say, okay, who's visiting from another park run? And there's always a couple from Australia, a group of guys from Great Britain. It's just neat that there's people from all over the world and they come to these park runs and it's a really neat community and they're free. So if you want to see if there's one near you or if you're traveling somewhere, they're always on Saturday mornings in wherever the town is. I think there's 2 in Colorado, or I know there's one up in the mountains somewhere and then the one in Boulder. But It's just a neat experience, and it's a really positive experience for first time 5Kers alike, and expert 5Kers.
Have fun.
I know, you too. Is yours on Saturday?
Yeah.
All right. I'll check to make sure you win. I wouldn't mind getting, like, I would say if I'm a little out of shape, I could do around a 25-minute 5K.
Okay, I think you can go
And I don't know,
faster.
it might be like snow. It's really snowy out right now, and it's really cold. So the course might be snowy and icy.
We'll talk about it on the next podcast.
Yeah, we will for sure. All right. Anything else you wanted to share before we sign off?
Nope. As always, I hope everyone makes it a great day.
Yes. It was so good to see you, Wendy. And thank you guys for being here. You guys are awesome. Let us know what you want us to talk about next time.
Thank you for listening.
Perfect. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten. If you want to learn more about us or anything we talked about today, check out the links in our show notes. We would love to know what you think of our podcast and what you want more of. So drop us a comment, send us a message, and help us out by leaving us a rating and a review. And don't forget to let us know your wellness win for this week. Thanks for listening. Make it a great day.